input. We have any citizens input? Please come forward. No citizens input? Okay, we have old business approved minutes for July 9th, 2012 regular meeting and July 23rd, 2012 special meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for July 9th meeting?
I so move.
Motion by Fred, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Longoria, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, do I have a motion to approve July 23rd, 2012 special meeting?
I so move.
Motion by Fred, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Longoria, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda will be budget report. We don't have anyone for that. Executive officer.
But on the budget, I'd like to ask the board, we need to set up some workshops for the budget for this coming fiscal year. And I was hoping maybe in another week or so.
With the press.
I'm sorry?
With the press.
Which one?
I'll
Oh,
say that.
which other one?
So don't mind me, it just,
No, no, as long as you don't, interfere with the meeting, that's
I
fine.
got you. Not
But
going.
anyway,
He got my good side.
yeah. Next week, maybe a day next week, to have a workshop. We could start, and I know, like in your case, David, you really have to push to get here at the time for the meeting. So to do it earlier would be pushing you, I think, and maybe even one work in San Antonio. And I think Becky works in San Antonio as well. But I was thinking perhaps, like the 13th or 14th.
Next week,
Yeah.
as long as it's not a huge week.
Okay, in your case. And what I can do is I can send you some, call you guys and think about it, and then I can call you and see what dates you think you could come. And then I'll report that to the president and then try to set up a date.
Does anybody have a particular date they're interested in having a special meeting with? Time 7 o'clock is good?
And what day is that again?
Whichever, you not Tuesday, because it could either be a
Wednesday
Monday
or
or Wednesday or Thursday.
As long as we have a grade, I can work.
Okay.
Wednesday's a good day.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll get with, I'll call y'all and then just make sure you guys check your schedules and then see who will do it.
Wednesday of next week, you said, Josie?
Yeah,
It'll be
if
the
everybody
15th.
can come, then maybe if not, Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay. Move on with the executive officer's report.
Just kind of give the board an update on the infrastructure projects going on out there at the Rancho Grande Business Park. We've already completed the water line, which extends from here all the way to the back, and then it goes on the road, on both sides of the road. So, started it's on this side where full bore is, and it comes all the way down. It goes this way, and then all the way over here, and it takes all the properties in. So today they were doing the final test on the water, running some chlorine and stuff through it, make sure the lines are clean. But this company's already got water, you know, and this three-way company, full bore, and I think A1 Rocket is looking to get a meter. The electricity is already in, started on this side, it goes all the way to here, and likewise, on Cardinal Road, it goes east to west. So there's electricity and water that can support all the companies out there. We completed the bridge on the drainage way, and it's met a couple of tests. You know, we had some water, some rain, and also we had a lot of irrigation water coming through some fields to the east of us that pushed a lot of water through the property, but that was able to handle it, and not a problem. We're meeting with the engineer on Wednesday to discuss the entry point, and also a meeting with TxDOT, how best to do the entrance, and then the decel lane, and then also a retention pond that the county is asking us to take a look at right here in the conservation area. I don't have any clear estimates yet in terms of what the retention pond would be, nor on the entry point, because of the different changes that we're having to go through and some of the demands that TxDOT has. But I think it'll be well within the scope of what I had projected earlier in the year. But I think the infrastructure's in now, and Gas Frac has their engineers and their site people working the 20 acres, and I think we should start seeing building out there. They've submitted their plans to us. It looks pretty good. A1 Rocket already has, they're building a site pad and ready to construct the building. Standard Tools also building a pad and ready to construct. Precision Tool has indicated that they would move soon. Mr. J.B. Watkins, I'm waiting on him to move his operation down in this area, and then we're just waiting on the other companies to take off. But the bulk of the infrastructure, the water and the sewer, the water and the electricity are in, and that was the main thing, is getting the water in. That was the most pressing problem, is to get these companies with water, so they can get the water meters and get the operation going.
Questions?
What, if any, of those areas there are not yet committed? Do we have anything?
We actually have 28 acres, and I'll discuss that, and got some negotiations going right now. I'll discuss that with the board later. And we still have parts of the conservation area that can be used, you know, or suitable for building, or the higher end of it on this side and on this side. So our survey is cutting out 5 acres on this side and 6 acres on this side, so we're waiting on that. But other than that, the rest of the properties are spoken for. And then, you know, once we get everything in, then I'll come back to the board to report on that.
Is that on a flood zone or?
No, none of this is in the flood zone.
None of it?
Nope. But because of the way the land is, you know, and this drains from the south to the north into here, and from the north to the south also into this area. And, you know, there's a lot of water that comes through this property, so as we build up, we have to ensure that the water continues to flow out and then on out to the river. And that it doesn't create problems for any of the tenants out here or any of the neighbors to the west of us. But based on what we've seen out there, I don't think that's going to be an issue. This is not a flood zone. Okay. And this is a kind of a rough sketch of the Veterans Park. But, you know, you got Freddie Amato's shop right here on the right side as you come in on Paloma Drive from US 181. You got the Sears store, and then the church right here. You got the post office, the Paloma Senior Village on this side. The 6 acres that are dedicated to assisted care living. We're still negotiating. The company has undergone several changes. They're still interested in those 6 acres, but they ran into some snags and Sheriff's, Civil, where they were building another unit, and it caused them some, issues, but, basically delays in trying to get started here in Floresville, but we're still negotiating with them to see if we can get that going. The dance studio is right here on the corner, and if y'all recall, we sold, about an acre and a half right here to, Texas Health and Human Services, where the new building's gonna be. They've submitted their plans to the city, and I think everything's running smooth with the permits office, so we should start seeing some construction on this site, pretty good. Then we've got a contract pending on 10 acres, which is basically the Mackinville property that we purchased a few years back, and then the 5 acres remaining in the back. And this 10 acres, assembled together would be for apartments. Some issues we're working on, because when we laid out the plat, our intention was to take this road all the way to Highway 97, but some issues right here, right before you get to 97 with some drainage, and then the expense of making an entry on 97 and the requirements for different engineering and all. The best option for us is not to construct this road, construct it up to this point, and then it can be left up to the developers as they're working to do this. But there's an issue about the right-of-way, because we do have water and sewer lines going through this site, and we may have to amend the plat, and get that done, and then get it over to the title company. But we're working on that with our attorney and the title company, so. And then what's remaining will be about 5 to 6 acres behind the dance studio and where the Texas Health and Human Services building's gonna be, which is basically in front of where the VA Center is. That's about all the land that'll be left. And then I've had some inquiries for doctor offices, and even a couple of the land companies have asked about that property. Nothing serious, but just want to know would we be willing to sell. And then if this, for whatever reason, these 6 acres, this doesn't materialize, then we have those 6 acres that we can put back on the market. But on this side, we already have all the infrastructure in. The water and sewer lines are in, and as you can know, when you go out there, the main roads are paved going in and out. Paloma Drive extends from US 181 to Business Loop 181, and then the Veterans Drive into the Veterans Home. And then our intent is to take Patriots Drive and pave it all the way up to here. And then it would be up to the developers to take it from there if they so choose. Any questions? On the status of the loan that was approved, for the parks improvements and enhancements, and also to build some new ball fields, all the documentation has been submitted to the company. So I'm just waiting on them. Whatever they need from me, and also working with the city, we provide them the documents they need as they do their due diligence on the loan. As we progress with that, then I'll report back to the board where we stand on that. Any questions on that one?
We're gonna have local agreement with the city.
Well, we've talked to the city manager. We'll have to see how we approach that. But if it's an FEDC project, and we're gonna be managing the money and then managing the project, then we don't need an interlocal agreement with them. Before we did it, because it was a loan that the city had arranged, and we were part of it, but we were not the principals. In this instance, we are the principal holder of the loan, and then, I think the board pretty much said that we would control the funds, and then the building of the park itself, and working on the old park. But I have to coordinate with the city manager. He's gathering information for me on the different plans that they've received, information that they have, and then we can start looking at that. We may have to form a committee where we can meet, to ascertain what all direction we want to go with this, and, make sure that the monies that we do spend are spent wisely, and they give us the most return. But I'll be briefing you as I develop this. FEDC meeting and alluded to the fact that we had conducted an illegal meeting because I had failed to post the meeting scheduled for the 23rd of July on the website. How I operate on that is that after the board president pretty much guides me as to how the agenda is going to be, I develop the agenda, I post it on the front of City Hall, which is a requirement also by law, and I give a copy to the city secretary. I request that she post it on the city website, which the city council had requested we do, and she did. And then I email the copy of the agenda to our webmaster, Mrs. Donna Miller, and she's been pretty good about doing that. This is the only meeting. She was en route to New York when she received my email, and she indicated that to me, but she also indicated that she would post it on the website later in the weekend as soon as they got to where they were going. The regulation or the handbook, and it's a 2012 Open Meetings Handbook of the Office of the Texas Attorney General's Office. If you do have a website, then they require that you post it on the website. But it also says that, I'll read it. The governmental body satisfies a requirement that the notice must be posted in a place readily accessible to the general public at all times by making a good faith attempt to continuously post notice on the internet during the prescribed period. Now there it just says internet, it doesn't say your own website. So I believe that in posting it on the city's website and then also on ours most of the time that satisfies our requirement. In this instance, I did notify Mrs. Miller, and I sent my email at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. She received it at 4 o'clock, and she indicated to me she was en route to New York with her husband for some business conference, but that she would post it on the website. Never once do I doubt that what they tell me they're going to do. And this is the first time that did not occur, but I understand because they were traveling. So we did the other requirements of the law, but I believe we did make a good faith effort to post it. And again, I refer to the 2012 Open Meeting Handbook published by the Office of the Attorney General. And I use that as a reference in setting up the meetings that we have. On the issue about the closed session, whether we could or could not go into closed session, also in reference to the 2012 Open Meetings Handbook of the Office of the Attorney General, we can go into closed session even if we don't post it on our agenda if we're doing consultations with the attorney. And if you recall, Mr. Dominic Carvajal was sitting right there basically a little bit to the right of Mr. Gonzalez. And as we started the discussion, Mr. Ortiz asked a question, and our attorney recommended to the board president that we go into executive session since we were doing consultation with the attorney. And again, that's on page 40 of the 2012 Open Meetings Handbook. Consultation with the attorney, that's exactly what the board, the board members had questions, and it's part of what the law allows us to do. And I think that's it on this part. Madam President, can you go?
May I say something?
Go ahead.
It's confusing to the general public, and I believe it puts a black eye on the city and on the FEDC when newspapers do expose that we are having illegal meetings, and I believe that they should do better homework or research than just displaying their advertisement on the paper, and if it's not against the law or anything, and they're just doing that one too many times, I believe it should cease. And with all due respect to the papers, I don't see anything funny or set of papers or anything, It's just bothersome to me, and I believe to the majority
this is not the first time. I remember several times in the past, where they were also accusing us of violating the law that covers selling of land by an FEDC or EDC. And they would read just the first part of the letter that says, when you sell land, you must sell it at market value. And then the second part, which is where we fall, it went on to say, unless it's in connection with an EDC project, in which case then you can fix the price at any level or even gift the land if that's worth the effort. And we corrected them. I personally wrote a letter. They understood it, and they would still after having done that once and being corrected, they still continue to publish that and in essence accuse us of illegally doing that. That is selling land for what they considered. In some cases, they even called it bargain-based prices. And like you, I think somehow there should be a way for these folks to be reprimanded, so to speak. I don't know what it is, and I don't know that the city or we are willing to sue you, but that is really unconscionable, I think, for them to continue to do that kind of a thing and leave that impression. I had a citizen talk to me over the weekend, and she says, why don't you go back and tell them or say something? Because, what's left in my mind reading the paper is that what they say is true. Well, we've tried that before, and sometimes they print what we say, sometimes they amend it to the extent that it doesn't really say what we started out to say. I don't think that it ought to be up to us to correct something that's wrong to begin with, and I think they know it's wrong.
Quick comment. Thank you. Okay. Is that it for,
Yeah, that's all I have.
okay, on new business. CNA FEDC Property Office discussion will be in closed session in accordance with the Government Code of Texas, Chapter 6, B2, subsection 551.072, deliberations about real property. Any actions taken on items discussed will be voted on in open session. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
I so move.
Moved by Mr. Gonzalez,